You sit down to work, you open your laptop, you tell yourself, just 1 minute on my phone. One video becomes 5, 5 becomes 20. And suddenly, an hour is gone, but here's the strange part, you still haven't done anything difficult, you didn't studied, you didn't worked, you haven't created anything. Yet somehow, you're exhausted. And when you finally try to do something important, your brain says, this is boring. Let's check the phone, let's watch something, let's do it tomorrow. What if the problem isn't that you're lazy? What if you've trained your brain to expect a reward, before it is willing to work? Discipline feels difficult when your brain has become accustomed to constant stimulation. Think about the modern environment. You can receive entertainment instantly. Food instantly. Messages instantly, information instantly, novelty instantly. And your brain learns from repetition. If every few seconds something new appears, silence starts feeling uncomfortable. Reading feels slow, exercise feels difficult, studying feels painful, deep work feels impossible. Not because these activities suddenly became worse, but because your brain became accustomed to something faster. Now we need to correct one major misunderstanding. Dopamine isn't the chemical that simply makes you happy. It plays a major role in motivation, learning, reward prediction and reinforcement. It helps your brain decide, that thing is worth pursuing. That's why dopamine is powerful, but here's where things become interesting. When you repeatedly expose yourself to extremely stimulating rewards, your brain adapts. The problem isn't dopamine itself. The problem is the pattern of constantly chasing powerful, immediate rewards. Your brain begins learning, why struggle for 30 minutes, when entertainment is available in 3 seconds? Here's the trap, you don't necessarily become addicted to your phone, you become addicted to novelty. Something new, something surprising, something stimulating, something that might be rewarding. And your attention starts fragmenting. You read one paragraph, check your phone. Start studying, open another tab, begin working. Check a notification. Eventually, your brain starts associating effort with discomfort, and distraction with relief. That's when discipline begins to feel unnatural. So what should you do? A dopamine detox isn't literally removing dopamine from your brain. That's impossible, and that's not the goal. The real goal is much simpler: reduce the activities that constantly hijack your attention. For a short period, remove your biggest sources of effortless stimulation. Short-form videos, mindless scrolling, compulsive gaming, constant notifications, endless entertainment. Not forever, just long enough to notice what happens when your brain isn't constantly being stimulated. And this is where most people quit. The first few hours may feel strange. You reach for your phone, and remember it's not there. You sit down to read, and suddenly everything feels boring. You walk around the house, looking for something to stimulate you. Don't panic. This is the part people misunderstand. Boredom isn't necessarily failure. Sometimes boredom is simply what becomes visible when stimulation disappears. And instead of immediately escaping it, sit with it. Now comes the important part. You don't simply remove stimulation, you replace it, because if you remove everything enjoyable, your brain will eventually return to the old habit. Instead, introduce slower rewards. Reading, walking, exercise, cooking, learning, writing, building something. Talking to someone face to face. These activities don't necessarily produce instant excitement, and that's exactly why they're useful. You're practicing delayed gratification. You're teaching your brain, I can experience satisfaction after effort. There's another secret: stop depending entirely on willpower. Because your environment is constantly making decisions for you. If your phone is beside your hand, you'll probably check it. If social media is one tap away, you'll probably open it. So change the environment, delete the apps, log out, use website blockers, keep the phone outside your bedroom, turn off unnecessary notifications. Put your book on your desk, put your running shoes beside the door. Make distraction difficult, and meaningful work easy. Now let's make this practical. for the next 7 days, choose one source of empty stimulation. Not everything, just one. Maybe it's TikTok, maybe Instagram, maybe YouTube Shorts, maybe gaming, maybe endless scrolling. Identify the habit that consumes your attention without giving you anything meaningful in return, then remove it for 7 days. Day 1, you'll probably want it. Day 2, you'll notice the urge. Day 3, you may start looking for something else. Day 4, you begin noticing your attention. Day 5, work starts feeling slightly easier. Day 6, you realize you can sit without constantly reaching for stimulation. And day 7, you've learned something important. The urge was not an order, it was just an urge. Here's the deeper lesson. Discipline isn't about becoming a person who never wants pleasure, it's about becoming someone who doesn't need immediate pleasure to begin. You don't have to hate your phone, you don't have to eliminate entertainment, you don't have to live like a monk. You simply need to stop allowing instant gratification to become the default response to discomfort, because every time you resist the urge to escape, you practice freedom. Every time you finish something difficult, you build self-trust, and every time you choose meaningful effort over effortless stimulation, you become a little harder to distract. So tonight, don't try to change your entire life. Find the one habit that is stealing the most attention from you. Remove it for 7 days, and replace it with something that requires effort. Read. Exercise. Study, create. Build, think. Let yourself be bored, let yourself struggle, and discover what happens when your brain stops expecting a reward every few seconds. Your attention is being trained every day, the only question is, who is doing the training? The algorithm? Or you? If you want to take back control of your attention, start tonight. Choose one distraction. Remove it for 7 days. And tomorrow, come back and tell me what changed. This is Deep Work Flow. And remember, you don't need more motivation. You need an environment that makes the right behavior easier.